Okay, so hello, I am back and there is an update. Firstly, apologies how long this has taken. To have an update on this, it's proved a little bit more difficult to pursue this than previously expected, but we are kind of getting somewhere and it is interesting. So thank you to my subscribers and also to my members, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to find out what happens as we go along with this. So I've been trying to find a solicitor who will take this on. So if you watched previously, basically the issue with this vehicle is that I wish to scrap this Renault Zoe. It's got a battery lease, so I own the car and I lease the battery, and I'm having issues giving that battery back. I don't want it anymore. I want to return it and end the lease. So I have a signed lease agreement and I pay monthly for the lease or rental of this battery. So giving back the battery was very difficult, very onerous, very expensive. None of these fees are laid out in this lease contract, and this is pretty unfair in my opinion. So we took them to court. Sum total is that there's been discussions with their solicitor and it will go to small claims court. They will try and get it struck out, and we will see what we can do. Realistically, at this point, we need legal representation. So I tried to contact a few sort of YouTuber solicitors and things like that. I didn't really get anywhere. It's kind of down to whether they read the comments or whatever. But I've been contacting solicitors, just kind of starting in my local area, but then actually casting the net a bit wider, because trying to find a solicitor who will take this on has been really difficult. And basically the reason is because it's small claims court, it's relatively small amounts of money, and the solicitor's fees, as you can expect, are reasonably high. So it ends up basically not being cost effective to use a solicitor for small claims. Now this case is a little bit different because we want to test this lease and we want to get a solicitor's opinion and try and force a change and find out whether this is actually fair, because it looks very much unfair. And it looks like the reason they can get away with it is because the fees of going to the small claims court and actually doing something about it outweigh the sort of 1,000 or 2,000 that it might cost you to get out of it, and people just pay up, and people are just paying up and paying up and paying up, and they can kind of do whatever they like. So can we do something about it? So I found a solicitor. Kind of part of the issue is that there is not a small amount of documentation. This, although it's relatively simple and I've kind of explained it succinctly, realistically there's several issues in what's going on with this lease. Firstly, the lease terms and conditions, the welcome pack that they send out, which has got some interesting terms I'll show you later. So right now, for me to get a solicitor to take this on, there is a lot of documentation to look through. And I've had the solicitor had a quick look at it. Basically, we've got obviously the lease agreement itself. This is long and winding, and if you've looked at it, pretty tricky with its words. There's the welcome pack, which they send out. Yes, I was just referring to some of the terms. So I'm just going to put that over there. So in here, this is just a generic welcome pack. It's the same as the one they send out for lease vehicles. You can kind of tell that because it's got things in it that don't make any sense. So, for example, can I cancel my agreement? You have the right to withdraw until 14 days. Well, it's like, well, that doesn't apply because you're not leasing the vehicle. You're only leasing the battery. Also, once you've made all your monthly repayments, you'll be the legal owner of the vehicle. And they're sending this out with a battery, and that doesn't apply. So this is all pretty poor. There's complaint documentation because I've raised a complaint, and that's been through a couple of different stages. So there's that for a solicitor to review. There's obviously the actual court documents. So when I sort of got a CCJ and then it was cancelled, and then it's that was the one where it's cancelled, and then this is the one where it's been transferred to court, Chancery Court, which is my local one. There's also the renewal documentation. I don't know if they need to review this, but it's kind of this documentation is very strange because they send you this renewal documentation saying what do you want to do, what are you going to do with the car. Basically, when you apply for it originally, you say whether you want 1, 2 or 3 years term, which is kind of pointless because you're going to keep the lease for as long as you keep the car. So very weird. But yeah, they send you this saying, what do you want to do? Would you like to sell it? Would you like to renew it? And if you keep paying, it just keeps rolling anyway. Very strange. But yeah, they send that anyway. Not sure that one's relevant, but this is an absolute bundle of paperwork. So having contacted probably about 15 solicitors, finding one finally to actually take on, who will actually sort of talk to me, who will be able to cover the consumer protection, who can do it in small claims, because that normally doesn't happen because of the fees. And then, just actually someone who'll do it. Finally found one. So I've only had a quote from one so far. Basically, because of what the solicitors charge, so I sent them all the documentation, really nice lady. So as you can see here, they've had a quick look at the documents, and in order to review and advise us, the fees would be between £2,500 and £5,000 plus VAT. She also said she'd had a similar-ish, sort of not massive, but a case go to small claims and defended that in the court, and to go from start to end, the fees were around £10,000. Okay. So that's obviously quite a lot. I will do my best to find another solicitor to determine whether this could be reduced with a different solicitor. I suspect it's going to be the same, basically. But I've got to do my due diligence and just make sure that we're doing this properly and that they're not just a particularly expensive one. So I will get another quote, but very likely to even start this process, I need to have £3,000. So that would be 2.5 plus VAT to £6,000. So 3 will be the minimum to get them to review this documentation and advise me, and then I would be able to obviously go back in a strong position to their solicitor. What I've explained to the solicitor, what I really want to do, the different stages are for them to review this documentation and advise me and tell me whether I think we've got a case, whether these fees, these terms in this lease, not that lease, that's the document. I don't think I showed you that one. That's the documentation with going back and forth with their solicitor. Mobilize the solicitor. Yeah, the battery lease agreement, that's at the bottom. They'll be able to tell us then whether they think this is fair or not. So to get a solicitor's proper opinion, that's what this will get us. And then I'll be able to go back and hopefully in a robust way to mobilize a solicitor. And this might actually help everyone, because we can get a proper consumer solicitor's opinion on this lease, on these renewal documents. So that will be really useful. That's kind of stage one. Stage two is obviously that we start pursuing with the claim. If Mobilize, then after we go back to them in a robust fashion, if the solicitor agrees with me that it's not fair, I mean, the solicitor might say, look, that's actually fair, and there's not a lot we can do about it, and that's where the road ends. But it'd be very useful, very interesting to get that opinion, and I'm very much hoping and thinking that they will agree that this is not fair. So the next stage is we pursue with the claim. What I would like to do is expand the claim, because in my claim I just kind of put that it was sort of onerous and very difficult to carry out the battery lease removal process to give the battery back, that they were preventing me from doing that effectively by making it so difficult. Realistically, it'd be nice to expand that claim to include their unfair fees, unfair terms, whatever the solicitor thinks is unfair, we could roll into that small claims court process. So to update that claim, so to sort of expand that with anything the solicitor thinks could be included, that'd be sort of step two. And obviously step three is kind of like fighting that claim on our behalf. So I am happy for this to be in my name, to use this car as a test case, but realistically I haven't got this amount of money to spare. So really, there was a massive weight of feeling of people happy to support. Some people actually even sent money already via PayPal and YouTube, which was amazing. Not a vast amount, but yeah, it's really surprising. And lots of people saying that they would support me if I go forward with this. So obviously I'm going to share all the results, so everyone's going to benefit from the opinion of the solicitor. It just costs quite a lot of money. As I say, I will really do my best to find another solicitor, but they're just not cheap, and that's just how it is. I don't suspect it's going to come down vastly, but maybe a little bit. So there is a Gofundme. Basically, if I get enough contributions, I will go forwards with this. If I can't go forward with it, I need to double check what the rules are in terms of what I then do with those funds. If I get, let's say, a reasonable amount of money donated, but Mobilize cave in really quickly, when, say, we get a solicitor's opinion and we present sort of the facts, legal facts of whether this is fair or not to Mobilize, and they cave in and cancel my lease, I may have money left over then. At that point, that would be donated to charity. Because you've used part of it, it's kind of difficult to give anyone a refund. I don't know what happens if I don't get enough funds to go ahead. I suspect you would get a refund if you've contributed already. If basically the only two things that will happen with your funds, or it's going to be three things. One is they're obviously going to be used for this case. That's what it's for. That's what you're donating for. If that's not possible, then what will happen is either you'll get a refund or they will be donated to a local charity. And I'm obviously happy to evidence that they have been donated, and it's protected by Gofundme as well. They have to make sure that you do what you say you do with it, basically. So that's the score. I just need to be able to gather these funds to move forward with this case, but I'm happy that it's in my name. I've got a bit of time where I can kind of facilitate this, not tons, but mainly it's just the experience and the legal view of this, because I have an opinion on this, but it's not, obviously I don't have legal training. So that is the score. Thank you for listening. If you're able to contribute even just £1 or a few pounds or whatever you can, I'm going to put some into this because I'm involved as well. So I'm in it with everyone. But we all just kind of need to chip in. And then if we can get an opinion on this that says that certain things are not fair, we might be able to actually instigate a change in this process. Because I don't think this is fair. A lot of other people don't think this is fair. But it's just going to cost quite a lot of money to find out. And really, this is why they can get away with it. This is why they can charge you, $1,000, $2,000, whatever, to get out of this. Because nobody's going to pursue it. Because you need a solicitor and it costs too much. So I think that's why they can just keep getting away with it, but maybe we can put a stop to that. So yeah, please contribute if you can. There will certainly be a link in the description. Hopefully there's been a QR code on the screen if I can make that happen. Yeah, I will do my best to find another solicitor to make sure that this is a reasonable cost. But yeah, as I say, I suspect it's not going to come down a vast amount. But yeah, apologies it's taken a long time. I've just contacted so many solicitors around other normal work and all that, family life and all that kind of stuff. So it's taken a bit of time. But yeah, we have a solicitor who's willing to take it forward, which is fantastic. Seem really switched on. It's just a case of, of funds. So we are getting there. I would really, really like to go back to Mobilize with a robust response that says this is not fair for these legal reasons, and watch them squirm and see what they say. And then everyone can use that in their responses to Mobilize. That is really what we're aiming for, that we test this once, but it benefits everyone, because we can say, this is not fair. This is legally why it's not fair, and you can't do that, and have something really robust. That's what I really want to do. So yeah, over to you guys. Please contribute if you can, and yeah, hopefully we will get there. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you later. Cheers.